Hello, everybody. Welcome to Digimon Conflict, where I kidnap four of my friends and make them watch Digimon with me, and we go through Digimon, the 1999 version, episode by episode, and see if it holds up against the test of time. I am Cyan Kincaid from Riceball Conflict, as well as on normal streaming platforms. And I have been watching Digimon ever since I was a kid in 1999 while it was airing on TV. I have hosted panels regarding this stuff, and I have so much useless knowledge on this that I can't wait to share with all my friends and to get their experiences with either watching this episodes for the first time or the first time in several years. With me today, I have Keja. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Keja. I'm K James 13 on most platforms. I've never watched Digimon in my life, so I'm excited to experience it and see some new things.
I also have Cyanide.
Hello, my name is Cyanide Blizzard. My name may be Inksty. I'm not. Find me that on any social, YouTube, or Twitch. I watched Digimon as a kid growing up, played some of the games as well too. Been a long time since I've watched the show, so I've been really interested in getting back into it.
And Kain.
Hey, I'm Kain. You can find me at multiple sources of social media at Punish Kane. I watched Digimon growing up as a kid. I played a lot of the games. After a while, I got back into some of the newer series that were coming out after the release of Digimon Try a few years ago. And now I keep up with the Digimon TCG as well.
And Zeta.
I'm Zeta Sapphire. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok. I've been a big fan of Digimon since 1999 when it first aired in the US. I've been a hardcore Digimon game fanatic for a long time. I haven't watched a lot of the new series since Fusion, I believe, but I've been trying to introduce myself back into it little by little.
Nice, nice. So I feel like at least half of us got back into things because of Try, and then
hmm
two of
Yeah.
us are kind of very new to experiencing at least this depth of Digimon. So, shall we get into our first episode then? So the first episode we went into, and so it begins is the English title. It's our introduction to all the kids. We have our main character giving us a brief summary of who everybody is. Through various situations, we end up in the digital world, and they end up meeting tiny little monsters that kind of attach themselves to them immediately. Any thoughts? What were your first reactions? I know Keja. Keja had some
I
things
mean,
to say.
my first reaction, because obviously the first, I think, three Digimon that were introduced, the first three or four, I can't quite remember, uh, were all like pink. And so my first reaction was, are they all in this tiny little form? Are they all just pink, like gooey baby looking things? Like,
Wait till you actually see the actual baby forms.
Oh,
hmm
God.
hmm
wait, are they not the baby forms or are there other?
There are smaller forms.
They're smaller, yeah.
Oh,
They get even more baby.
Because this is
oh,
what
I thought
the
that was the
child
baby.
form.
Yeah, this is child
Yeah,
form.
yeah.
There's baby one, baby two, child, and adults. No, child form would be Agumon in the.
Oh yeah, child form's Rookie.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
This is-
dumb.
This is
I keep
baby two.
forgetting that they have baby one and baby two.
Yeah, that's like fucked me up.
So what? They're baby twos.
They're
So
baby
there's
twos.
another.
Yeah, they're baby too.
Ah, okay.
You'll
Gotcha.
you'll see baby ones eventually.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Alright, then.
baby one.
You'll probably like the baby one forms a lot more than the baby two forms, if I'm being honest.
I mean, the baby two forms, most of them were really cute. It's just like they're they're still weird looking.
Yeah. I will
They're
say,
all really cute. I think they did Blukomon kind of dirty because he's kind of ugly by comparison.
I will
Oh, no.
say Koromon's kind of a lying little bitch, like first thing out of the gate, and just comes in and says, "My name means brave little warrior." And I'm like, that is
Oh,
not what
yeah.
your name means at all.
Yeah. No, please don't lie to us.
Exactly.
First episode, the first thing you're gonna do is lie to us? Okay. No.
I
We're new to
mean,
this world. You can't lie to us
Joshua
off
Seth
rip.
literally came in first, first introduction. It's just like, yeah, the ocean turned into chocolate sauce. I'm like, that's not how ocean works either.
Oh.
Fun little fact about the first episode. So they have that narration at the beginning, and it's being done by Joshua Seth, who's the voice of Ty. But in the original, it's a different narrator, and there's the narration throughout the series. Like the little pop-up bubbles introducing each of the Digimon is generally narrated each time by the narrator. But the narrator is one of the cast members as an adult, but it is not Ty.
Oh.
So it was it's fun to see like they chuck that up to Ty first off, and then just never really touched on again. It just whoever wants to fill in the text bubbles after that gets to do it.
That's interesting because the one thing I did notice was obviously when they first doing the character introductions, the I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. The kid with the little brother, um,
Matt.
he's introduced as the cool kid, but then like later on in the episode, Ty says it again and he says self-proclaimed cool kid.
Yeah. There's a little inconsistency with Matt and TK in the beginning. Biggest one being that he introduces Matt and TK as being brothers, and that is not known to Ty at the beginning. That's not something that's found out until episode 3.
Yeah, they don't actually get into that till later on when it's like, well, wait a minute, they have different last names. Oh, well, there's a story behind it. And that's like part of that arc.
Yeah, there's a whole running joke throughout it where, because they keep asking, why is TK at this camp? He's not from our school. And he's like, well, I'm here to visit my brother. And he keeps calling Yamato or Matt his brother. And it was like, why are they calling him brother? They don't have the same last name. So, yeah, they don't find that out until episode 3. So, that was an interesting little change that they did, and I don't think it was intentional. I think that was really just a translation error on their part. What about you, Cyanide? Did you ever watch the episode before, or was this your first time visiting it?
I initially watched the show, the 4chan, well, not the 4chan, the 4Kids, basically like a 4chan version, felt like a dub of it. And with this, I wanted to go back and watch the original. And that's actually what I did, was I watched the original Japanese version, and that was really interesting because there's certain things I definitively remember despite watching it so long ago. I'd watched it multiple times, so it was just a matter of recalling some of that, and that was especially fascinating to see how everything comes together in the beginning. I didn't remember it coming together the way that it did and being as interesting and as thought-provoking as it was.
So fun fact on that one, this is actually not a 4Kids dub. This is a Saban Entertainment dub.
Get out.
Yeah, so this was done by the same company that kind of handled Power Rangers and X-Men and all them. So while they still have some of the, what would you call it, censorship, it's not as heavy as 4Kids ever did. You will see later that there are actual characters that smoke on screen. They don't take away their cigarettes and turn them into lollipops or anything like that. So...
Well, that's my bad. You learn something new every day, and that's just what I learned here. I think for like the longest period of time, it was always, it was 4Kids. No, it was Saban. Wow.
A lot of people kind of make that mistake, and I think it's just because it was all Saturday morning cartoons. The biggest difference that being this was a Fox Kids show where most of the 4Kids stuff was on CW.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Like I said, full of useless knowledge on this series.
That's not useless. We're learning new things. What do you mean?
Exactly.
I will say, like, half of my notes for this episode is just, I already hate Sora. She's such a bully. Can we get her out of here? She said 3 words. Can she get off the screen now?
Wow. Unbelievable.
I
Listen,
can't believe it.
my hatred just grows.
I can tell. Sora didn't do anything to you, and you're just like, get out of here.
She didn't have to do
Mm-mm.
anything to me. She did everything to everybody else. It's fine. We'll get there.
Unbelievable.
Another change that is made within the first episode is the Digimon immediately introduce themselves very annoyingly by name quite a bit, and as Digimon digital monsters, which irks me to no end. But they introduce it as being they're in the digital world. That is not something that is in the sub. They are introduced as being on File Island. So for these 6 episodes, the kids don't realize they're in another world. They think they're on an island somewhere, and they think there are actually people there. So
Yeah, there's even this theory for a period of time that they're possibly in Japan, but then they see the aurora and they're like, wait a minute, no, we can't be in Japan anymore. I don't understand any of this. And so it's like they're just trying to find civilization and forms of life where, yeah, when you look at that English dub, that just spoils everything right out of the gate, where there's this mystery and suspense and intrigue of where are they? What's happened?
yep.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's a interesting kind of I guess it's just a translation error where they didn't realize it would be relevant later on, so they just thought we'll just throw it out there.
Mhm.
But it's pretty curious because that's a pretty big error to make, because that's a
Yeah.
huge plot point. Like even in one of
Yeah.
the episodes that's focusing on Izzy,
Mhm.
they kind of talk about, the narrator does, how important that information that they discover in that episode is going to be later on.
Right.
And I felt like, especially in those early episodes where they could feel dry, that's one of the really intriguing plot points that they introduce. You know, it's a little bit
Yeah.
thought provoking. And to not even have that in there, or to have that spoiled right away, creates a completely different experience for the audience, in my opinion.
I agree. I don't remember which episode it was because I don't think I wrote it down, but there's even a point where Izzy picks up the Digivice and refers to it as a Digivice, and he
Yeah, I think it
wouldn't
was
know
in the
that.
first episode, wasn't it?
I think it was second. It was either second or third.
Yeah, it was one of the earlier ones for
Yeah,
sure.
I think it wasn't the first episode.
I'm gonna say it was probably the third because if I didn't write it down, it was because I was too mad at Sora. Also, just interesting little tidbit to get this out of the way. A lot of the Digimon's names are literally onomatopoeias for something about them. So Koromon's name is just a reference to like something rolling. It's the sound of something rolling. I think Pukamon or Bukamon is floating, the sound of something floating in water. Tokomon is the sound of something trotting. Then you have like Yoko or Pyoko, depending on translation, is the sound of bouncing. And the only ones that aren't like that are Tanemon, who is translation of seed, and then Sunamon, whose name means horn. So most of the names are very, very literal for like early Digimon. Even like Agumon is the sound of biting, and like Patamon is the sound of flapping wings.
I'm sorry, but the sound of biting should have been given to Tokamon since it has 2 sets of teeth.
Oh, that big
Oh my gosh,
mouth,
that's
yeah, that thing is terrifying.
Oh, nightmare fuel.
Like, it's cute as hell. It's like, oh, it's a happy little marshmallow. Then it opens its mouth. Oh God, put it away.
What is that?
I love Tokomon
Literally
so much,
my reaction.
He gets vicious, that's all.
Vicious. He looks like he's gonna gnaw my arm off.
I mean,
also,
It's like a
like-
baby hippo. And then it just opens its mouth and it's like, nope, that's not.
That's
No,
not a
I'm
hippo.
good.
It's unacceptable.
No, I think of it like a goose. Like, you don't know goose have teeth until you actually see it, and it's horrifying.
Oh,
Goose have teeth?
I don't
Yes.
like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they don't just have, like a smooth surface underneath their bill. It's literally like rows of teeth.
That's terrifying. I also put that Joe is the most relatable character in this first episode because he's the only one that has the normal reaction to
Yes.
seeing one of these
Mhm.
monsters.
I hated that. I literally hate that everybody gets this little creature right up in their face. Not one of them bats an eye or starts crying or running away. All of them just like, you know what? Cool, I accept
Yeah,
this.
this is fine. Yeah.
Joe's the only one who has the brain cells like, wait a minute, these things could be dangerous.
I mean, I think originally Ty got scared by it, but that was about it.
I think he was
Yeah.
more surprised than scared.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like very, very briefly as well.
No, the minute
Yeah, he
Koromon
very
lied
quickly
to him,
recovered from it.
Koromon lied to him and he just believed everything. It's fine.
Yep.
I mean, they are children, to be fair.
They are. They are all like 10
Mhm.
years old, so slight pass.
I mean, to be fair, you could feed Koromon or Agumon anything and he'd believe anything you'd say.
This is
True.
true. Alright. Shall we move on to the next episode then, unless y'all have anything else y'all want to add?
I have one.
Go for it.
Why is it that when they see the Digivices rain from the sky in the camp, not one of them tried running away? They just all hung their mouths open and just looked up into the air, accepting it.
They could sense it was their destiny.
Really?
I
I
like to
also had
believe
that
that they
same
were afraid if
reaction.
they move, they may actually get hit by one of them. Like,
I-
oh crap, they moved and they got hit in the head, they're knocked out, or possibly worse. Like, well, I guess that's it.
I would be
Dang.
more concerned of like, okay, this thing just crashed into Earth and then just started floating in front of me, and all of them thought to like, let's grab this glowing whatever it is.
Literally.
Ooh, that meteorite, I'm gonna take it in my hand.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be hot or gonna hurt me or be radioactive. Let's
Yeah,
just touch it.
totally. No, that was
Mhm.
my first sentence of like, man, these guys are kind of oblivious.
Yeah. Getting children, like,
Mhm.
though granted, TK's the only one I would give a pass for that because an 8-year-old might still not understand that
Yeah.
if I touch something, it's hot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Alright.
think
That was my only thing.
That's fair.
also something I found out like I think it was like last week actually. I didn't realize that Digivolution was a term that like only happened in the translation. Because in the Japanese, I think it's actually just called evolution.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
funny,
Evolve.
so a lot of people think they did Digivolution in the anime to separate it from Pokemon,
Mhm.
but it actually started before that because this was a change that was actually done by Bandai when they released the toys in America.
That's
So-
what I thought it was.
Yeah, so it wasn't something that was changed in the anime. It was changed before the anime got over here for the
Mhm.
actual Digimon toys. And it was a Bandai choice. We don't know why they chose to change it because this was the toys came over before the Pokemon anime ever took off here. So
They gotta make it sound cool for marketing.
yeah,
It could have been that, or it could have also been probably something against like evolution theory.
maybe.
Maybe.
I do believe somewhere in the original subtitles, Izzy even makes like a little speech about like how evolution actually works. And I understand
Yeah.
why they would take that out because it doesn't fit if it's Digivolution now.
Mhm.
So
To be honest, I like the change because I do like the term Digivolution more than
Mhm.
just simple evolving.
Evolution.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, evolution doesn't really fit when it's kind
Yeah.
of code changing. It's not really like actual
Mhm.
evolution.
Yeah, especially since it can like go back, you know. It's not
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
it's
that
just
was the other
one
thing.
step forward, you know.
Yeah, Keja didn't realize that they turn back after they go to
Yeah.
adult.
That was so off-putting.
Yeah.
I mean, in some things they don't. Like in the games, they kind of stay in their forms until they die.
Mhm.
If you have a vital bracelet, they definitely go back after they die.
God
Oh,
damn
yeah.
it, man. I need to
Alright.
Vital
charge
bracelet,
mine.
PTSD.
I need to charge mine. It's been a while.
I am the only one taking care of my Digimon out of this group. This is sad.
I'm doing such a.
And
I'm
you
a
wanted
bad
to
dad.
die.
Hey.
I do want it to die.
Listen, my Monochromon's still alive. He's just in hibernation mode so I can get a better battery for it.
Yeah.
Alright. So, moving on to the next episode. Next episode is the birth of Greymon. So, this is when we see our first adult evolution. The children make it out to the ocean in a way after being chased by the giant stag beetle Quagamon into the water. Because some very questionable physics of floating on fish and how that would actually work. Um, Joe is still probably the realest person there, and we kind of see how everyone is kind of prepared for the trip. Yeah, this is the episode they ran into the telephone poles, isn't it? Or the telephone boxes.
Yeah, the telephone
Yeah.
booths.
Yeah.
And Joe spends the entire episode trying to call every phone number he can think of.
Mm-hmm.
So dumb.
Which honestly
Bless
makes
that
more
man.
sense if you think he thinks they're still in the real world. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it does.
I don't know why I have flying contest. Oh, the flying contest because Patamon and Biomon fly
Yeah.
Oh my
slower
god,
than
and
they
they both
walk.
fly backwards.
I was like, why did I write that down?
I mean, it was funny.
Yeah, it
Like
was
the two
really
flying
funny.
funny.
Digimon can't fly very well.
Mhm.
You would expect Biomon with the bigger wings to at least be able to do something, but of course she's
The
gonna be as
literal
useless.
bird.
You know, that makes me think if that was the first time they've ever entered their rookie state. They just weren't accustomed to it yet.
So canonically, it would be. I mean,
Yeah.
we wouldn't really know that on stage because, like, I
Yeah.
guess we could still assume that, but yeah, canonically they would never have been to that stage before. So
Mhm.
Yeah, because in the later episodes they mention that, I think.
mm-hmm.
During a certain episode. But other than that, not at
Right.
that point we didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it would make sense that they wouldn't be used to like flying or anything yet. They do get better at it, I think, later on.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could see that. They also kind of address the concept of like needing food pretty early on, which is kind of something you wouldn't expect in a kids show, where it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, well, we need to feed ourselves. Did anybody think to bring food?
Yeah, that's something that you don't often see in like any anime or anything is like, oh, people actually eat?
Yeah.
People
Right.
feel hungry? What a crazy concept.
You're right.
Yeah, and it's handled pretty well too, despite them being children. You still see some of the childish elements,
Mm-hmm.
but they're rather responsible. There's no infighting, there's no real turmoil. You know, they're sorting that out together while they're trying to survive. Yeah, no, it's a really great addition to that episode. Nice
Right.
job
It
of
doesn't turn
establishing.
into Lord of the Flies off rip, which is
Oh,
good.
Yeah, it definitely is covered a lot better, and it kind of shows each character's role a little bit more. This is a fun little like fact is apparently every character, each one of these kids, their character is handled by a different person. Like the producer gave each person on staff like, hey, you're in charge of making Mimi, you're in charge of making Matt, you're in charge of making this character. So each person was designed to like, okay, I made this character, how would they react in this situation?
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that. That's a
interesting.
good idea.
Yeah.
Just unfortunate Mimi got nerfed in the dub. She got nerfed so hard. She is the token like super feminine, like I want to go shopping and have fun and do girly things. But we see in this episode that she has like all the camping gear with her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
out of everybody, she's got the
Yeah,
most
that's
brain
right.
cells to bring survival
She's got
gear.
the compass. She's got all of that with her.
Mm-hmm.
I love too how she was supposed to carry the rations bag, but didn't. So Joe ends up carrying it, and he gives her a tough time. She's like, "I don't want to carry it; it's too heavy."
Right.
So you get some of her personality with that, yet she's also incredibly responsible, having all that survival gear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's mentioned in the sub that like the reason she has all of it is because it's all her dad's stuff, and it was her first time camping, and she wanted to make sure she had everything she needed. And one
Mm.
thing they take out and they kind of change it, and it's kind of a change for the next episode, but she does mention that the compass is broken, but she has a backup compass, and the backup compass comes up later, and she's like, "Oh, my watch, the numbers melted off. It's so hot." I'm like, oh, she's pointing out that this one is also broken.
See, I thought initially when she mentioned the compass was broken, I thought she took a look at it before, and because like File Island probably has its own magnetic structure that it was
Mhm.
just constantly spinning or something.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
it's they don't really know why they're broken. Like even the whole dialogue she has, I think they're talking about like Palmon's hair, and like Palmon calls her out for being like very self not self centered, but like I forget what they what she calls her, like focused on the wrong thing. But that
Focus on
conversation,
cosmetics.
yeah, that
Yeah.
conversation in the sub is actually Mimi asking Palmon if she can photosynthesize. Like,
Oh.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a fucking contrast.
I know, right? They nerfed her to fucking hell. Like she's actually kind of smart, and they just kind of made her the ditzy shopaholic.
I hate that.
Yeah,
That
the
makes
dub
me
went
hate that so much.
crazy. What the
Mhm.
hell?
Yeah, so that's
So
one of the
Mimi
big character
isn't the
changes.
token airhead.
Yeah, I mean she's still kind of airhead, and she has her moments, but like,
She's smart too.
yeah, she's
That's the thing. I remembered her being irritating and annoying way
mhm.
back when I
Yeah.
watched as a kid, and
Mhm.
then watching the sub, I was like, "Wow, it's a completely different person."
Yep.
They did her dirty. Oh,
Yeah.
They changed her a lot, and I'm a little upset about it because of course I watched the dub growing up.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I revisited it right before Try started, and I actually watched the sub for the first time. And that's when I first started. Like I kind of liked Mimi a lot towards the end of Digimon in the dub, but watching the sub version, I'm like, damn, I really like her a lot. Like she's fucking
Mhm.
cool. And then my hatred for Sora grew after watching the sub too. So
Oh.
yeah. This was also Keja's favorite episode because we got the Shellmon body horror of him popping out, very like
I
horror
didn't.
like.
Ugh.
Yeah, that wasn't
I
great.
didn't like what it looked like when it was like originally like pushing out. I was like, that looks
It looks like a butthole.
phallic. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was like, it doesn't look right. And then it just came out and looked like, a big T-Rex, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was
well.
never a fan of Shellmon's design, sadly. Like it was a nice idea and concept, but oh my god, you guys did it kind of bad.
Yeah,
Right.
it's gross looking.
I'm glad I wasn't the only person that thought that.
No, we
No,
me, Zeta, and Kedger will all watch these episodes together, and we all kind of had like the same like vocal reaction to it because I didn't remember it looking that bad, and then I was just like, oh
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
we get it. It's supposed to look like a kind of a muscular snail. It didn't have to discuss to be that
Ugh.
hardcore.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah,
definitely
I think
it
the
was
little
so
tuft of like
uncomfy.
leaf hair makes it even worse.
not. The little
Yeah,
the
'cause it
little
was like-
yellow ring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like pink, like squish, and then like
the green,
yellow
like,
in the
kelp
middle.
hair.
And I was like, ew.
About to make that my profile picture for the next week.
I'll cry.
DM Kedja in the middle of the night, and she has to look at that pop up on her phone.
Oh,
Just
please
telling
no.
you, if you're looking for a GIF, on the Digi Wiki, boy, for Shellmon, that is the GIF right there.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh my god.
oh, indeed.
I just want to know why they took so much effort to animate, because as creepy as it is, you can the detail they went into to make the arms and the head come out, that like, why did they put that much emphasis on him popping out of his shell?
You know
Literally.
what? That's something I had a complaint about too. It's like it felt like they spent their entire animation budget on that, because when he fucking attacks the kids, they just go from teleportation animation.
Pretty much. Oh lord. That fight was over pretty quick. Like that again, like that was our first like
God.
adult evolution where Greymon came in because Ty was in trouble and he was getting squished by the creepy squishy fingers.
That happened way earlier than I remembered.
I thought,
Yeah.
I thought it was the tentacles, the hair tentacles that he got caught by.
Well, they grabbed him with the hair tentacles, but I thought he stepped on him afterwards. I may be wrong.
I think
No,
No,
he
he
stepped
Agumon,
on
I think
Agumon.
was being
He
stepped
said
on, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he subbed on Agumon.
I remember
fingers
his.
are so weird too.
Yeah, I remember seeing the toes.
Oh.
That's the only thing why I was like, I got stepped on.
Oh,
Oh,
this
your mom
kid
needs
is
to be
so
like, I did not
bad.
ask for steppies.
I mean the original Dom GF, I guess, in Digimon.
Oh God,
No.
no! Pass, no, thank
No,
you.
I think
There's
I'm
so
good.
many bitter things.
You really have to
Mouth
go there.
do.
It's me, of course I do.
That's gonna haunt my dreams.
Oh my
now,
God,
thanks.
Kain.
Didn't work. Damn it.
Oh my god.
I hate it. The weird thing is, like, when it's in the shell, it reminds me a lot of a Pokemon. Couldn't
Mhm.
tell you what Pokemon, but it reminds me of a
Slowbro.
Pokemon. Oh yeah, Slowbro. Thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then, like, you see the little butthole looking thing, and it's like, yeah, no, this is so much worse. Like, it just gets worse.
I have
I
so
mean-
many
I mean-
concerns.
It's basically
There
this.
it is. Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god. No.
It's got its growth, like its gross teeth too. I'm not a big fan of the mouth.
Well, yeah, that's basically a shelter clamping onto its tail, and it just says, you know what? I'm just gonna eat the entire body. That's what happened to Shellmon.
Yeah. But then it comes out, and it's not much prettier.
Oh yeah, no, this is an ugly son of a.
This is what happens if the shell fully devours you and you kind of liquefy a little bit.
I'm learning a lot more about Pokemon than I expected to. It's not helping my
What do you
opinion on Pokemon.
No, don't worry. There's worse. There's
Oh,
worse
I'm
things.
Oh, there's so
very
much worse.
aware. I'm very aware. All right. Any last notes on this episode before we go on to the Gurumon episode?
Well, the one thing which we kind of addressed before was
Mhm.
like, that was the first introduction to them going into adult form, and also the fact that they go back to child form
Yeah.
when
Mhm.
they're exhausted,
Mhm.
which, like, for me, obviously coming from Pokemon experience, was very disconcerting. And I remember, obviously, asking a lot of questions like, how does that work? Because obviously, when Pokemon evolve, they just stay evolved.
Right.
Mhm.
That's another thing too. It also emphasizes how important food is to all the characters, even the fucking Digimon, because if they don't
Yeah.
eat, their powers are just not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just
So
as weak as the children are.
I'll kind of spoil this a little bit because this is gonna be explained a lot later, and I mean a lot later. So I don't think it's really gonna be that detrimental. But Digimon in the wild, they have a harder time digivolving, but when they do, it's permanent unless they die. But
Right.
if they have a human partner, they use their human partner's energy to digivolve, which is why they go back because they're using temporary energy. And
Mhm.
it's kind of touched on because I think it's in one of the later episodes where Agumon says it's because he borrowed Ty's energy to evolve or digivolve.
Hmm.
So that's why they go back. If they did it in the wild, they wouldn't go back. But if they're doing it with their partner's energy, they go back.
So with the, like, obviously this is a different episode, but like Monochromon and stuff like that, are they full evolutions then?
Not
Like
I
that
think
have
they're
evolved in the wild?
champion.
they've evolved
Yeah,
in
they're
the wild,
champion.
but they are definitely not full.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're not
Yeah.
full.
They definitely
Okay.
have more forms. So, because we do meet a Digimon later on that is we've seen it, but it's in a later episode. That
Right.
is higher level than adults. So,
Hmm.
we'll get to that one. I think that one's Izzy's episode.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
5.
Yeah. So our next episode is the Gurumon episode. It is the episode where we would initially have learned that Matt and TK are brothers. The children find a random trolley car on a random hill in the middle of the water. They decide this is a good place to sleep because it might take us home while we're sleeping here.
Mhm.
we see more kind of like master planning between the kids of them actually kind of using their heads and working as a group by planning a watch group on who stays up and who sleeps. And this is where we really see like Matt kind of coddle TK a bit because he makes sure TK has food and isn't going to choke on like fish bones, and he makes sure TK isn't included on the watch and everything, and he's kind of trying to be that older brother role, which is raising more questions, which is why it gets brought up. So, this was also a thing that was mistranslated because when it is brought up and he finally like confesses to Ty like, oh, we're brothers, he says they're half brothers. They're not. They're brothers and their parents are divorced and they live in different households. It is never brought up again that they are half brothers. It is just this one instance where they say, oh, yeah, he's my half brother. But after that point, it's just like, oh, yeah, they realize they fucked up and they just never touch on it again. And they're just like, yeah, we ignore that we fucked up the dub. So
that's a pretty big mistake.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big mistake.
It is.
It's not the biggest dub mistake I've seen in anime. The biggest one is still by Slayers, where a character says like, "Oh yeah, this great sorcerer, he is both my father and my grandfather."
I forgot about that line.
Yeah, not the case. It was just he doesn't know if that is his father or his grandfather. Not both.
Yeah.
But that happened.
Meanwhile, Gary then exclaims, "I'm my own grandpa." You're like, wait, what?
Yeah. So that's concerning. So it's not something new within like dubs to kind of fuck up that kind of translation in this era.
No, that'll certainly happen as well.
Yeah.
Too.
I also wrote down that this is one point to TK's drama or trauma of the series where he sees his brother literally get slapped by a giant sea dragon and possibly die right in front of him as an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I also would like to take the time to point out that this happens to be one of the many occasions where the children ask, hey, is this Digimon friendly? And they're told, yeah, we're pretty sure they are.
It is the
fairly confident that they're not going to cause any trouble or chase us.
Yeah, that's a going theme a lot.
Especially in the coming episodes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this guy's fine. He's chill. Oh, he is not chill. Never mind.
Those monochrome mom. Oh, they're chill. Oh no, wait, they're fighting over their territory. Oh dear gosh, let's get out of here.
Also, Yamato's cute little moment where he's like, Gabumon, go sleep next to my brother. You're making me sweat. He's Gabumon just
it
like,
was the cutest thing.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, he's in the conversation. It's like, wait a minute, you were supposed to be a blanket.
Yep.
Who's keeping TK warm now?
Right. Gabumon also being like, I'm gonna be stinky from jumping in the water. Just don't get mad at me, okay? I love Gabumon so much. He's such a good boy.
It was such a wholesome exchange because he's just like, I know full well what your intention is here. You don't have to lie to me.
Oh god, this was also the episode of two very uncomfortable lines in the dub of dudes, this place is wild. And then Matt randomly exclaiming, I'm the man.
I'm the man, yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
he
god,
is.
those were so cringy.
I'm like, why do I have I'm the man written on here? And I'm like, oh, right, that happens. This is also the first like instance of us kind of seeing Ty and Matt fight and the rivalry between the two of them of trying to like both of them trying to take leadership roles and having very polar opposite ideas of like what's better for the group. So
which also kind of grounds it in some realistic things because they want to do two separate things, which are also still important, like deciding factors. One wants to keep going because we don't know if it's safe here. The other one realizes that everybody needs freaking rest.
Yeah. So it's a fun dynamic between the group, and I like that they kind of delve on like the more realistic side of things. Even with these all being kids, like they're kind of dealing with this in a somewhat human manner, especially with them thinking they're still in the human world, with them still thinking they're on like in Japan or something, instead of
Yeah.
thinking they're in a foreign world of some sort.
That is a really good point because this is another episode that firmly establishes with that trolley that, oh, well, clearly there's remnants of civilization as we know it, so there's got to be people somewhere. There has to be.
Yeah, exactly. I also
w-
go ahead.
sorry, question. So to do with that, in the first, I think it was the first episode, the Digimon straight up say that there's no humans in the world. Is that
Yeah,
a thing in the sub as well?
no, I don't believe so.
They do talk about it, but I think part of it is in denial. The other thing is they see these structures that they themselves recognize, so they look at
Yeah.
it and go like, "Well, there's got to be. Like maybe you just haven't seen anything, but there has to be something out there in this world of some form of a civilization, whether it's a village or like the phone booth, the trolley, whatever else that we see, which we will see more things. There's got to be someone here. How could these
Yeah.
things be here without people not being here? Come on.
Yeah, I think it's asked if they know where the other humans are, and I think the Digimon just kind of respond that they've never seen another human before. Like they're the
Yeah.
first ones they've seen, and I don't think it's they say there's no humans here. They've just never seen them.
Yeah.
Right.
I could be misremembering that wrong. I think Cyanide, you're watching the sub, so you would know that better if you.
Yeah. No, it is talked about, I think, at a few different points where, it's they go to a particular place. I think it's actually in the next episode, where it's discussed that they're wondering like, oh, what kind of Digimon are you? It's like, oh no, they're not Digimon, they're people. Well, what's a person?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely in the next episode.
Yeah. Also, small note, we have a nice little moment of Tintamon trying to be the smart guy and being like, yeah, Garurumon's fur is like hard as steel, and he's only that's just what people say. He doesn't know for sure. It's just what people say.
That's
what I want to know is where the hell are you getting these rumors from?
Yeah, that line's still pretty true to the sub from what I remember, but I think he doesn't say steel. I think says his fur's made of mithril. So I don't. I assume they just didn't want to use like a advanced term like mithril in a kid's cartoon. So not a big change, but like makes more sense than them being like, yeah, his fur is made of steel, and then you just see Matt riding him in the opening.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Also, Garurumon's name comes from the sound of a wolf growl. So,
I mean, at least there's a theme.
Yep. Pretty much all of them early stages are just like literally what their sounds would be. All right, I don't want to, but do we go on to the next episode?
Oh, your favorite.
You have no choice. You have to talk about Sora.
This is an important episode.
They
introduced the Black Gears.
Yeah, this is the first instance because Cedarmon only got mad at him because his tail got burnt.
Which honestly justified.
Yeah.
He was probably a nice Digimon until his tail got crispy.
Right?
Right? They're stomping on the tail and then they burn it? Okay, alright, kids. That's enough. I'm gonna eat all of you.
I mean, to be fair, it was stuck in the ground. They couldn't really help that.
Yeah.
I mean, they noticed there was something red on the ground. They could have been like, "Oh, this is not regular rock. We shouldn't like build a fire on top of it."
I mean, on the other hand, too, it would have looked like a palm tree leaf.
True.
See, that's the thing is in the sub, they thought it was a leaf. They're like, "Oh, that leaf was actually a tail." So there you go. Ignorance.
Because that's what I thought when I first saw it. I was like, "That's a weird colored leaf."
A weird
and then it's,
leaf.
okay.
Yeah. Alright, so next episode, Biyomon gets firepower. It is our episode where Biyomon gets her evolution. It deals mostly with Sora. They find a village of Yokomon, which is Biyomon's previous form. You kind of get a look into different societies within the digital world a little bit, and you get more kind of look at how the kids are handling situations and handling the food situation. I have a lot to say on Sora, but y'all can go ahead and I'll rant after.
I mean, my first thing is they saw a desert, they had a lake, and they didn't stock up on enough water.
Yeah. No, granted, if they even have something to carry water in, because the only one that probably would be Mimi. So
That's fair.
and she's
Sora
the
is
most prepared.
shown filling what looks to be sort of like a bamboo-esque kind of water holder in the
Mhm.
previous episode. So that is
Yeah.
kind of interesting that, yeah, they decide, like, well, hey, this looks like an African desert. There's a specific term that they describe in the sub, and then they're traversing this desert plain. It's like, you guys stock up on enough water? You know,
Yeah.
there's only one person wearing a hat as well, too. Well, Sora has the helmet, never mind.
Mhm.
But, it's like only two people have actually protective headgear on. Aren't they going to pass out?
Also,
What?
Mimi giving her hat to Palmon to save her from the heat. So her just being like, yeah, you can wear it for a while to protect yourself is just like the sweetest little thing. She's just like, yeah, you
Oh
need
my
it,
gosh.
See,
Warm
and
my
I
heart.
thought that might be sweet, but at the same time, Palmon needs the sunlight for photosynthesis.
Eh, I mean, too much sun can still kill a flower.
Yeah, I
Which,
was gonna
funny,
say you can dry up a flower.
And
funny
wouldn't
enough,
the petals also like cover enough, the same as the hat would?
Mm, I mean, the petals would die though.
Fair.
there is an interesting note, though. Photosynthesis is talked about in the sub,
Yeah.
and it's then proceeded to be like, well, what is photosynthesis? So the Digimon's not even aware of what photosynthesis is. So
Oh,
Yeah.
They
They
Which
just
that's the thing, it could
spouted a
just be
word.
yeah, they're like, what is this photosynthesis that you're talking about? What?
Also, this is also the episode where we get the Sora yelling at everybody when Miramon is surfing down the mountain. Everybody freeze! Just so
Oh
they
my
can explain
God.
the freeze frame of everybody staring at this mountain dramatically for no reason.
and then everybody unfreeze and nobody moves.
Use the bear tactic. Don't move, and it won't see you.
Yep.
I think this also introduces one of my least favorite of the champion forms. I don't like Bertramon's design in the slightest, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. It looks like somebody took a freaking vulture and just threw it into a vat of mustard and ketchup mixed together.
Yeah.
You also have the question of why they decided to make her episode for the evolution
my
fight
God.
against a fire creature.
Yup.
That literally ate fire, grew to massive size, but its fire was different. It took away the fire.
Yeah.
Took away
That
the
is-
fire and
that
took
is
care
a
of the
question
gear.
that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Is do they have weaknesses like
Yeah.
fire, like water is strong against fire and stuff
So-
like that?
Like with Pokemon, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
in
like
a
with
way, but the elemental weaknesses are secondary. The main
Yeah.
weaknesses, and this isn't going to be touched on really at all in Adventure. It's something that is very prevalent if you start playing the games, as you said you're interested in doing. You'll see it more there. Digimon works on a rock paper scissors type thing, where there are 3 different types of Digimon. You'll hear these terms get brought up, but they don't get explained in the series because they're not really relevant in the series itself, just in the card game and the video game. There's virus, data, and vaccine types.
Yep.
So those work in a rock, paper, scissors formula where data is weak to virus, virus is weak to vaccine, vaccine is weak to data. So that is your primary weakness. And then if you have like a plant creature getting hit by fire, you can get a little bit more extra damage on there, but it's not like a full double weakness as it would be for the rock, paper, scissors type deal.
Right.
So, and
But it still doesn't make sense to anybody to have a
No.
fire type fighting
Fire
fire
version.
type.
No, it does not.
Now, especially when
Fire
we
with
just
fire,
saw,
baby.
we just saw it just devour other fire moves and just be like, I'm getting bigger now.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
if they
that
would
didn't work.
explain it like Berdramon's feathers can absorb fire and that's what it flung during its attack,
Mhm.
that would make more sense.
Right.
But them just using, hey, meteor wing, and it's just fire that's getting hit on him, and it shrinks in sense. Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. This is the opposite of what we were led to believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does not make sense in either form. Like logically, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh card game rules and Yu-Gi-Oh the anime. They just don't apply. You just go with it. It's fine. You can summon whatever you want on the field. It's fine.
Make your own headcanon.
Alright, I'm gonna go on my Sora rant, if that's okay.
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
Alright.
I want to hear this deep-seated hatred of Sora.
Okay, one, we're gonna address the dub issue first, because there's really only one dub issue, but the rest of them are sub-issues. The dub issue is, of course, Sora leading the Yokomon into the random ship that is in the middle of the what was a lake. And her being like, did I forget somebody? Oh, right, my own fucking partner. And then she yells up at Biyomon, forget about them, save yourself, let them die. Like, yeah, great, good job. Very heroinistic of her. But the sub-problem, and this is the thing that, like, made me dislike her, because I dislike her in the dub later in the series, but I dislike her in the sub right here and now. So, for those that watched the dub, y'all remember when everyone had to take a break because Mimi and TK's were getting tired?
Yeah.
They weren't taking a break because they were getting tired. They were taking a break because Sora complains at Biyomon that she's being too clingy and she doesn't trust that Biyomon she can deal with Biyomon because Biyomon's too sludge. And Biyomon gets sad. And then she has to apologize to Biyomon and Biyomon gets happy again. So
They did touch on the clinginess thing at one point, but nowhere near as...
Yeah, it gets brought up again. It gets brought up I think at least 3 times in the sub where she's kind of complaining about how Biyomon is acting towards her and how she can't deal with it and how she can't rely on Biyomon to like digivolve for her because Biyomon doesn't seem like she could be strong. And then Biyomon fucking protects her ass and proves her fucking wrong. Like,
then this also, well, no, it happens in later series too, I believe.
Yeah.
But like, this sounds very familiar.
When I read that for the first time when I watched the sub, I was like, you know, I already didn't fucking like you. I really don't fucking like you now, like, because there's no reason for her to snap at Biyomon like that. For like, even knowing the future knowledge I have of her home life especially compared to everybody else's home life, she has no reason to be the bitch that she is being right now. She has the most normal upbringing of most of these kids.
More so because, like, it didn't really look like any problems were being had at first either.
No.
There's like nothing leading up to this.
No, and then like Biyomon just singing her praises to the Yokomon of like, yeah, I talk like Sora now because like she's helping me get strong and she's such a good person, and Sora's just sitting back there listening to all this and just sitting in her head like, this useless clingy fuck, I don't want her here. I'm like,
yeah. There's no
glorified chicken wings.
No. So that's my Sora rant for now until we get to the later episodes where I end up hating her even more. So
unbelievable. I mean, we don't know what she's been through, you know. Obviously, we all have our personal things in terms of what we like and don't like, personal boundaries and spaces as well too. So that's what I looked at it as. But you gotta be out here judging Sora like that. Wow, Cyan, really?
I will, and I do, because with later knowledge of what I have of her as well, it's like if it was just one thing,
it never happened. Because we haven't watched it yet, therefore it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist yet.
They're getting called out right now in the here and now.
Listen, she's had like 3 episodes of screen time, and her biggest moment has been this so far. So she's been more bad than good. She's been more bad than good.
There was also I explained it yesterday while we were watching this episode. But when I was watching this episode a while back with my friend when we were revisiting the series, Meramon is like screaming and shouting like, oh, it burns, oh, it's so hot, blah blah blah. And like we kind of missed out on like the black gear thing when we were watching, so we thought he had like just become keenly aware that he was on fire, and it's like, oh, this is kind of fucked up. Wait a minute. And then
I
the
actually
black gear got
noticed
taken
that
care
as
of. It's like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Like in Digimon World 1, Marimon has the exact same thing happen to him, what he does in this, but there's no black gear involved.
Yep. I mean,
and it's almost exactly like you just explained. It's like he
Oh,
was self-aware that he was on
yeah.
fire.
listen, I'm not gonna say it because it's spoilers for 2 people in this call in case we ever get to that point. But that is not the only Digimon that has a reoccurring fate in multiple series.
Oh, no, don't you fucking dare!
Yeah.
No, I will cry. I know exactly who you're talking about. Nah, fuck you.
So, any other thoughts on this episode before we move on so we can get on to a better character?
This episode sucked.
Oh, it was so bad.
I mean, out of all the ones we watched, this was kind of the weakest one plot-wise.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But the introduction of Black Ears is cool.
Oh, but
Yeah, that does explain quite a bit.
we also got to
Mhm.
learn that Joe doesn't like to eat food on an empty stomach.
Oh yeah.
True.
True.
We also know that the kids really don't like eating seeds, even though like it's not any different from like eating other stuff like sunflower seeds and crap.
Right.
Mhm.
Which I do believe
For a
in the
moment, I
sun.
thought it was just grain. I'm like, are they
Yeah.
eating grain?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It looked like one of them had rice in their bowl.
Right. They can just do that. It's fine.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Alright, next episode, Kabuterimon's Electric Shocker. This is the Izzy episode where they find a random industrial plant that put things together to take them apart, and Izzy gets some opportunity to really nerd out here and finds a giant battery with a door and fixes it with a Sharpie, and
Yeah, good
and
old factory town.
it's also the
Throw
first use
shocker.
of his catchphrase, which I have missed so much. The first time he says
Yeah.
prodigious, which he will say quite a bit. So,
It's so cheesy, but it fits him so much.
Prodigious.
man, 11-year-old me was saying prodigious at fucking everything just to sound cool. Um,
The main thing, like the first thing I remember from that episode was when he was trying to get into the battery and he's just like filling up the battery for no reason when there's a very obvious door on it.
yeah. Hey, listen, he's
yeah.
short. He can't see that far. You should understand this.
I'm
Oh, there's
sure.
a doorknob above
see
my
it.
head.
And I get it too. For animation purposes, it has to look different because
Mhm.
that's going to change in the next frame. So especially when using cell shaded techniques, objects that are going to have some form of action or some form of movement are colored differently. So I get it. Although
Yeah.
watching it, it's always disorienting because you're like, "Bud, what are you doing? Come on, use your
Right.
eyes. It's right in front of your face."
Yeah.
No,
Just
it was
look
what a
before you
fascinating episode,
feel.
though.
The
Right?
biggest
Look.
spoiler of all is he's just actually blind.
Yeah. I mean, so there was a note on this I remember reading a while back, because everyone was kind of in charge of their own character. The person who was the main producer or I don't know, director or something, the one that was in charge of Tai and in charge of the main series, he said when he first read about Izzy, he pictured him with glasses, and he thought it was weird that they actually gave Joe the glasses. So maybe it fits. Maybe he should have had the glasses.
Mhm.
I mean, you just picture a nerd having glasses. That's just like
Right.
the
Mhm.
stereotypical thing.
Exactly.
And it's weird. I've always thought Izzy should be wearing glasses and points off and on. Like even in the later series, it's like,
Yeah.
does he actually ever wear glasses? I'm trying to think.
Nope.
Did he wear glasses?
No.
Because
Not
I
even
can picture him in them.
I've seen fan art of it done, but never in an official series has he ever.
Yeah.
So, also Agumon learns tech support from Tai by slapping Izzy's laptop,
Oh my god.
and then
Just give it a good
proceeds-
smack.
and proceeds to slap the giant robot that they just pulled out from some gears.
Don't be teaching Agumon this stuff. He'll actually do it on something and blow up the planet.
Yeah. I love that though. I love the contrast of like, yeah, that's how a kind of sports nerd would be, of just whack it a few times if it's not working. That's fine.
I also really like how this factory is just making sewing machines, but with antennas.
Yeah, and then taking them apart.
I
love
just always wanted to know what they were making.
But I don't even know. I love that
And
you
why
have
they're taking it apart right
you
after.
have
Yeah.
Izzy and this battery doing like tech stuff, and you have one crew going around and finding this giant robot that they're gonna pull out, and then you just have these peanut gallery. Let's just watch these machines, and it just pans to them just watching.
Just what does this do?
Yep.
I want to find out. So.
It was like every 5 minutes it just pans back to what was it, Mimi and
It was Mimi,
yeah, the other
Matt, and
two.
TK, I think.
Yeah.
Mimi and TK.
Just like watching these things being made and taken apart. They were always in the exact same position. Every
Ooh,
time it panned back to them. It was so amusing.
This is also our second black gear, but the kids don't really see it at 1st, and they also say, "Yeah, this is Andromon. He's a really nice Digimon," and then proceeds to get attacked by him again.
And this is their first encounter with an ultimate level Digimon too. Yeah, I was gonna say Andromon's ultimate, right?
Yep, he's an ultimate.
Yeah. So that
also
was
the first time we see 2 Digimon evolve and try to fight.
Yeah.
And we end up in the third one there get involved. So.
Which is why it makes sense why they got their kind of asses handed to them if it's at a higher level than they are.
Yeah.
That's not really explained in the series, so it's just like, oh, well, they fought the other guys. Why
He's
can't
really
they
out
do
here
now?
handling that 3v1.
He was.
I mean, literally, he may be short, but he's got more power in both of his hands. He could probably turn them into a sandwich.
It's not the hands, it's the titty missiles you gotta look out for.
Yeah, and the
Look, I wasn't expecting him to pull a freaking unique move from another Digimon down the line.
I also wasn't expecting the titty missile to open up and have a minigun in it too.
That too.
Oh my god.
It's like, oh, okay, these are gonna blow. What the fuck? There's
What
a
is
Gatling gun in there.
The misdirect is great. I love it.
I just appreciate that the voiceover actually told you, like, hey, this guy is really strong. Like, it, I mentioned it at the time. Like, it says when you first run into, what is it, Androidmon?
Andromon.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, this is like one of the more powerful Digimon. And then it's like, obviously, when they have to fight him, it's like, oh, okay, he is actually really, really strong.
Yo.
I just hate that his main move is so lackluster compared to the titty missiles.
Lightning blade.
Let me spin my hand really quickly and throw a beam of lasers out.
He basically has a Krillin move.
I was gonna say, for being as powerful
disc.
as he is, it's like discount Destructo Disc, titty missiles. Like, is this really the most powerful Digimon we've ever come across? I don't know.
I mean, physically, yeah.
That's a start.
You're
It's
not
only
wrong.
episode 4.
Plus, I mean, it has more moves than any other Digimon we've seen so far.
True.
It has 2 whole moves.
I don't know.
I also
Did
really
Seadramon have 2? Seadramon did ice and he did water, didn't he? Or did he only do ice?
I'm pretty sure he only did the ice breath.
He only did ice breath? Because I only remember doing ice breath once. What else was he attacking with beforehand?
I think it was just body bashing.
His body, yeah.
And his tail.
He was using flail. It's fine.
I do like the fact that this entire place was undone because one goofy nerd just wiped his finger on something.
He erased a half of a line and just like shut down the entire factory.
I think the best part with that is the Digimon has to be the one that suggests that. That, hey, maybe you should fix that, then it'll work again. Sorry to cut you off there, though. Okay.
Oh no, you're good.
I was just thinking,
that's perfect.
They also went into a bit of an illusion with Izzy's home life in this one, which was
yeah, we got
very interesting.
Our first sneak peek into it.
Yeah.
Which, for those that don't know his home life, what did y'all think of that?
Did not remember it. That
You
caught
don't-
me
I
off
was gonna
guard.
say I don't think I know what you're talking
You
about.
don't remember the flash, like where
There's
it's
like a little flashback.
yeah, where Izzy's like peeking in on the door of like his parents
Oh
talking about like, oh, we should
yeah.
tell him or he's gonna hate us
Are
if we don't
we?
tell him now.
Yeah. Okay, I do remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't remember what's actually said in the subtitle, but I think it's still along the same lines of like yeah, his parents are keeping something from him and he doesn't know what it is. Well, he knows what it is. We don't know what it is yet. So.
It reminds me a lot of another anime that I watched recently, where it's that kind of flashback of the silhouette of the parents, and like they have that look on their face that you just know that they're not what they seem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's what I thought of when I saw it, but I didn't think too far into it.
Meh. Yeah, Izzy's backstory is pretty prevalent later on, but like
Mhm.
I didn't realize we got a flashback of that so early because I remember when it finally
Yeah.
gets told, but I didn't remember it being like foreshadowed this early on.
And there's so much going on in the episode too, and they just kind of like throw it in there, like, "Oh, is he's past
Yeah,
a little
this
bit?"
one was
Ooh.
very jam packed with information.
Yeah, there's a
Mhm.
lot going
Like
on.
you learn about a lot about the digital world, you learn a lot about like technology and then actual characters and stuff as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
you
why
get
it kind of like
commentary.
faded into the background if you don't
Mhm.
remember it. Like
Right.
me and Cyanide were both just like, there was so much else going on that I
Yeah.
forgot it happened.
That's fair. Don't worry. You'll remember it next time it comes up. So
Mhm.
they make sure it's forefront then. Any final thoughts on this episode before we go on to episode 5? Or no, episode 6.
Kabuterimon is
Episode
sick.
6.
I really like
Which one?
Kabutarimon's design.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fight was really good.
Mhm.
Great
Yeah.
establishment of them. Yeah, just a really solid episode overall, I thought, and especially in
Mhm.
terms of establishing the world and just the mystery that's within it. Like clearly, I talked about that a lot, but it really is one of my favorite things in terms of how we're getting all these little morsels. There are serious elements to it, but yet
Yeah.
at the same time, it doesn't feel dark. It still
Yeah.
balances it nicely with levity. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And yeah, no, it's I feel like this was really for me what pulled me in and what I was like, I gotta go watch the next episode now.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
I do like that how they're doing the introductions where each character's kind of getting their own episode right now. So
Definitely.
you're getting at least a full episode per character, and it's not just focusing on just like Ty or Matt. It's like the entire team gets a chance to kind of shine for you to get a favorite character, get a favorite Digimon
Mhm.
before that kind of throws you into like the thick of the story of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next episode.
Oh,
The thirst trap episode, Togemon and Toy Town.
Thirst trap my bud. This was just a stalker episode. What do you mean?
So we find the kids in a tunnel leaving the factory, and on their way out, and they're singing this nice little tune of a song that I forgot existed. In the subtitle, I don't think they're singing a song. I think they're playing a children's game that's popular in Japan, and then they start singing a song that is popular in Japan. So I don't think it's something that Agumon made up that they started singing. But they run into some very slimy Digimon that hurl their Numa sludge at them. Totally Numa sludge. Totally
Numa
not
sludge. Yeah. 100%.
I hate this Digimon so much.
Yeah.
There's only one that's worse up than this one.
Yeah. We get a little conversation between the kids of like what they're missing from home, and like they kind of talk about like you get a small glimpse of like what their home life was like just through that, and, like what they might have been into. And they find their way out after being chased out. They find some more random human technology of vending machines that is, surprise, also filled with slime Digimon throwing Numa sludge at them. That Mimi very much just immediately turns down when they ask her on a date. And they run into a giant teddy bear, and the giant teddy bear abducts people.
But
Man,
he's so cute.
just
I'm a
just
menacing
explaining
boy.
this episode makes you sound high.
There's
I forgot how uncomfortable this episode made me.
I got halfway
Ooh.
through explaining the Numamon stuff, and I'm like, wait, we actually haven't even got to the Toontown stuff, and that's not even half the episode. The Numamon thing is
Yeah.
like so little of it. The rest of it is actually in Toontown with
What a goyle.
Monzemon.
Don't worry, they stalk her throughout the episode.
Oh, they
They're not.
definitely
We're
do.
not done with them yet.
They do not
Oh,
give up
yeah.
on getting a date with her at all.
Well,
Oh,
it's-
she's
the
so
introduction
feisty.
is wild enough as is because you're like, wow, okay. And then once they leave the sewer, you're like, okay, goodness, they're gonna leave this behind already. That's it. We're
We're
done.
never gonna discuss this again.
It happened. That's it. We never talk about it again. And then, surprise, surprise, inside the vending machine, and then you have one of them in particular asking Mimi out and like trying to get his riz on. You're just like, okay, no,
Hearing,
this is too much.
hearing the
This is way
Numamon
too
say, "What a woman."
What a
was just-
goyle.
What a girl.
Oh, it's so
It's
bad.
so cringy.
It's so bad.
We cut into like, okay, after Mimi gets chased away by the Monzemon and is the only one that doesn't get abducted, she goes into this toy town and it's just like all the kids being brainwashed, being chased by toys. This is so fun. This is so fun. And then you just have Izzy. This is a delightful activity. I love a
hate that
delightful
line.
activity.
I hate
What a
that line
what a
so
delightful
much.
activity.
God.
He's having fun.
This is really like a there is no war embossing say moment for Digimon.
Can we also address the fact that out of everybody, Izzy's the one being chased by a whole bloody army while everybody else just has one singular toy chasing them?
Yes.
Well, aside from Joe and the giant bird that likes dipping its bill in water.
Oh my god. Oh, this is also our first introduction. Well, no, this is technically our second introduction to a Digimon that whose name isn't from just a literal meaning. Because Gabumon's name is actually a reference to like a specific character in Kabuki theater. But Monzemon is actually named after a famous puppeteer whose last name is actually Monzemon.
Oh.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I don't remember what the first name is, but I do remember that that's his actual last name is Monzemon.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Mimi has to go through her whole ordeal of she in the dub. She's kind of like they seem a little odd. Oh well, I don't care. But like in the sub,
They were always odd.
yeah, in the sub, I believe she actually like their partners aren't with them. Something's weird. So.
Yeah.
She finds them locked in a chest and she's like, yeah, I don't know that the lock is here. Y'all can get out, right?
I still love the fact that
That
they couldn't break out
aggravates
that chest by themselves.
Yeah.
But I literally, they're like, Mimi's like, oh, can you guys not break out of it? Sees the giant lock on the front, doesn't open the giant lock on the front, walks
Leaves.
away. I'm like, ma'am?
Mimi, please.
Yeah,
I
I
would have
also
looked down at Palmon like, can you lockpick this?
yeah, I also
Like,
had this
use the
listed
money.
as a another trauma point for TK. This is now 2 points of trauma for TK.
Oh no.
DK's not doing so hot.
He's not.
Oh.
But yeah, so Palmon ends up getting her evolution.
Yeah.
Which I love Togemon.
I love Togemon.
It's so ridiculous.
cute.
It's so goofy.
I
And-
just like how this whole fight just devolved into a fucking boxing match.
Mhm.
It's so ridiculous and such a good contrast to like her very prissy nature that she has kind of both variations to just getting a giant cactus with boxing gloves.
Yeah,
She's
it's
so
so
butch, it's
Have you-
hilarious.
Yo.
I know it's like not really prevalent right now, but have you seen the X antibody form for
You-
Togemon?
You mean is that the one where she gets a fucking sombrero?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that just a knockoff of another Digimon then?
Hold on,
I
let's see.
don't know.
Yeah, Ponchomon. What? There was a Digimon called Ponchomon. It's literally got the sombrero, maracas in its hat, and
Oh
then it's
my
got a
God.
poncho too.
Oh
Boom.
my god.
She's beautiful.
Oh, so cute.
But I
Um,
do like it. I like the X antibody a lot more than vanilla.
Yeah.
She has one of my favorite signature moves, though, that totally works every time needle spray is used.
Yeah, needle spray's great.
Needle
Totally-
spray's only good for acupuncture.
Somehow it only ever hits its target and doesn't hit everything else in its surrounding in all of Adventures and Adventures 2. The animation shows it goes everywhere, but
Needle
nobody else has
spray.
ever hit with it.
It's like Armored Core. You just see them all go everywhere, and they somehow all go for the same target. They just act like missiles, homing missiles.
Mhm. Yeah, it's I love her so much, and it is one of the most fun episodes, and also just again one of the most uncomfortable.
It's a
because
palate cleanser.
She
Mhm.
does
It was-
get saved by the Numa poop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the goofiness in the middle of the episode made up for the discomfort, and then they ended it with a little bit more discomfort before the episode was done.
Look, we really didn't need to see them come back and try and get one more Riz off.
Listen, and Mimi gets quite a few fan clubs. I'm going to spoil that right now. She gets fan clubs of various varieties. This is just the
that's
first
right. Yeah.
one. She is very popular with the
yeah.
Mons.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I do like that they also kind of like hint another Monzamon in Toy Town on the brick road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that the gear just comes out of the stuffing zipper. When they finally get it, the zipper just comes undone and there's stuffing and a giant black gear comes out.
Here's the funny thing. When I watched this after I played Digimon World 1, I full on when they punched the stuffing out of this thing, I expected more Numemon to pour out of that.
Oh my
That
God.
would be terrifying.
Because that's literally how it evolved into Monzamon in the game. And I'm like, oh, please
Yeah.
tell me they're not actually in there.
Yes, in Digimon World 1 in the adventure game, it's really annoying to get a Numemon as your Digimon partner, and it happens
Oh,
randomly
God.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But there's a point in the story where you need to get a Numemon to put it into a stuffed animal toy so that you can get past certain guards to get to the next part of the island.
Yep.
And it's generally the only time you can never get a fucking Numemon, because every time I try and make it over there, I genuinely never get a Numemon.
Literally, my entire hatred of Numemon is because of Digimon World 1, because no matter how hard I freaking raised my guy, he would still evolve into that, and I'd want to throw my controller.
I just love that this dub is like, yeah, we can't say poop, so
Nume sludge.
Sludge.
I'm all this. So this is kind of unrelated, but I watched this when I was a kid, and I knew what a Numemon was. And when I got into high school, I met some friends that would not stop talking about this YouTube video called Numa Numa. And
Oh,
they were telling me it was a
no.
song, and
yeah.
I 100% thought it was a song about Digimon until I watched it. I was like, this has nothing to do with Digimon. I'm sad now.
Numa Numa slime. Numa 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 slime.
There's an A and B of that somewhere, I'm sure.
Oh no.
Dear Lord.
Well, yeah, that was our first 6 episodes. Like, we got introductions to almost everybody except for Joe and TK now.
Joe and TK, yeah.
Yeah. So we know kind of what's going up, I'm sure. One thing I want to do for these 6 episodes, what's everybody's favorite mon or favorite evolution that happened so far?
Personally, I really, despite knowing what it evolves from, I do really like Monzimon, whatever it's called. I like the plushie.
Of course, the teddy bear.
He's cute.
Funny enough, my favorite has been Monochromon, because that was actually the first Digimon champion I got in my games.
Oh, fair. fair.
Oh
And
wow.
I always did love his mini game in the first Digimon world too. That made me actually fall in love with doing like the side quests and the mini games of
Yeah.
it.
We had
Yeah.
to take care of his shop.
Yeah, you had to do the
Yeah.
shopkeep and stuff. That was
Yeah,
such a fun
yeah.
mini game to do.
Yeah. I know my favorites, my favorite has stayed consistent from being a kid to an adult, and I don't know why. But I love Kabuterimon in that first evolution with him. Like,
Mhm.
as much as I hate bugs, I love Kabuterimon. So his first evolution's my favorite.
They do the bug Digimon really well in this series.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
They do them better than they do Shellmon. So,
Yeah.
what about you,
Ugh.
Cyanide? You got a favorite?
Uh, interestingly enough, Monzamon was always my favorite because it's soft teddy bear. Oh wait, death eye lasers.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Death eye lasers and giant hearts.
Giant
I
hearts. So
like
you're
that
like, it's a Care
costume.
Bear with laser beams. All right.
What about
Literally.
and Kain?
I'm a simple guy. I've always been sort of a Gabumon fan, and it's
That
still kind of
fits.
stuck around.
That fits. That
Although I
fits.
will say Kuwagamon is up there because I like that he's the vibe check at the start of like every Digimon series.
Yes. It's just like, yeah, I'm coming for you in those trees. It don't matter.
If it's Kuwagamon again, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
He's your token first bad guy.
Yeah.
Alright. And then one final question I'll go around because it'll be individual related. For Keja, how much was this of what you expected of Digimon?
I don't think I really had expectations of what Digimon was gonna be,
Uh-huh.
but like, this isn't what I expected it to be.
I mainly asked that because we started watching the One Piece live action together as well, and she did not know One
Oh,
Piece had
so good.
superpowers.
Mm.
So I was
I
curious because I know I've talked to you about Digimon, so I don't know how much you absorbed out of that.
yeah, I the thing is like a lot of me because of a lot of my bias comes from Pokemon, like I assumed that a lot of it would be similar
Mm-hmm.
and it's not similar, but like it's not at all what I expected either.
Mm-hmm.
I think once we get further into the series, uh, it'll be better, but it it it's yeah, not at all what I expected.
Fair, fair. And for Cyanide, since you've watched a little bit of it, how much of this do you remember from your previous, and how much of this felt like new to you?
Um, and this isn't a knock, but I didn't remember these early episodes being as dry as they were.
Mm-hmm.
Very much it's a slow burn, it's a
Yep.
slow build. And I enjoy that because it's setting up the world, it's setting up various components. Like I said, with watching the sub as opposed to the dub, I feel like there's a lot more world building that's happening. There's a lot
Yep.
more subtlety to it. You're getting the slow reveal over time. And I think for the first 6 episodes, it does a really good job of establishing whether or not this is going to be your cup of tea. But I feel like there's enough interest and intrigue, and you're seeing plenty of different Digimon as well too, to
Yeah.
where you're going to determine right away whether or not you want to keep watching this. But I feel like there's enough that pulls you in, and I was actually
Mhm.
really pleased. I didn't really remember a whole lot outside of that first episode, but there were certain little notes that I remembered, like the sludge, the dredge, whatever that may be, the mysterious material.
Right.
But yeah, no, I was very pleased, and I'm really excited to watch the next 6 episodes.
That's nice. It is definitely very different going into the sub because it's. I get it, you said it's more dry because the dub is definitely very sarcastic in humor.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
flavor text.
yeah, but like you do miss out on a lot more of that kind of world building, unfortunately, which that's what we're here for. That's for those of us that know about it to kind of like delve into that a little bit. And then Kain and Zeta will have kind of the same question, but we'll start with
Mhm.
Kain. Like, do you think this still holds up from your nostalgia, or do you think it's a little too on the nose to be able to be enjoyed by today audience?
I honestly like it's been really nice getting to like go back and watch this again just because
Mhm.
like I remember as a kid, I do remember it being really cheesy, especially the dub, and like a lot of the dialogue feeling like very like sarcastic, but I think honestly my sense of humor kind of came from that and like just a lot of things in general. So like the sarcasm really gets a good giggle out of me. And like I I do agree with Cyanide. It's like a slow burn at the start and like you get a feel for if you're gonna like the show or not really early on. I don't remember them going into the Digivolutions and stuff this early on. It's been crazy getting to like get a new evolution episode by episode. So it's been cool getting to do this again.
Yeah. What about you, Zeta? What do you think?
Honestly, I think it's worth coming back into. Like, it still holds up to this day. There are some cringy, like little bits here and there in the dub, at the very least, that kind of make it hard to watch at first. But like the pacing's really good in all the episodes. There's nothing really too quick or too slow with it. And it does, like everybody else said, a lot of good world building, even in the dub and the sub. Like they do spoil a few things here and there in the dub, yeah, but they also do a good job of covering some stuff that also isn't caught in the sub, I think.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it holds up pretty well, and I know 100% I'm very biased on this though because I've revisited the series a lot and I've done a lot of coverage on it before, so I don't have any type where I've had a break from the series, especially from Adventures. The later series that I've gotten into will be a harder challenge if we ever get to those, but we'll see on that.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so next week or 2 weeks from now, from when this episode airs, we'll be going through episodes 7 through 13 to finish off this arc. So it's going to be 7 episodes instead of 6. But that'll give
Ooh.
us a nice little wrap up bow for this entire arc, so we can move on to the next one. That I know I'm looking forward to the next one a lot more because I enjoyed a lot more than I enjoyed this current villain arc.
Yeah, second
Mhm.
half's a lot better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, so if we can, I'm gonna go through and everyone can plug in their socials where they can find y'all. Keja, where can they find you if they want to follow you?
Um, I'm at KJames13 on Twitch and Twitter. Those are basically the only social medias that I have.
And Cyanide
You can find me at Cyanide Blizzard on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube under the same name, one word.
and Kain
You can find me at punished_Kain on Twitter and Twitch.
and Zeta.
You can find me at Zaya Sapphire. It's all one word on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok.
All right, great. And I have all those links also in the description of wherever you're listening in on this. I am Cyan Kincaid. You'll find me on any platform, but you can also find any information about this podcast as well as the other podcasts I run with my co-host Shio, Riceball Conflict on Twitter, and any other projects we decide to do. Feel free to check us out there if you want any updates on anything else we're working on. And we'll see y'all in 2 weeks because this is going to be running concurrently with the other podcast that also runs bi weekly. So we'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.